Welcome to Spirit, Purpose, and Energy. I'm JJ Flazanes, your host. Welcome to the show, and thank you for downloading today's episode. Today we're going to talk about the life purpose through hand analysis. We talked about life purpose a few weeks ago with Angie Schwartz, and today we have Beth Davis on, and so it's a different kind of life purpose analysis. It's actually using your hands and the lines in your hands to tell you what your destiny is. It's a fascinating show, so I know you're going to enjoy it today. I also we have about 2 weeks left until we start our free 30-day manifestation group. And I just want to put it out there before we start to make sure all of you know about that. It is free. It is going to be a little different than we've done in the past, and you do need to register. So if you're interested, you can come over to fit2love.tv/30daym. Again, that's FIT, the number 2, LOVE.tv/30DAYM, and get yourself registered to begin with us on September 1st. I'm not sure if we're doing another one this year. If we do, there'll probably just be one more, but I just want to make sure everyone understands it is free and it is a community, and it is for you to help you utilize all the tools that we've been talking about on this show in your life as a practice to make a difference. Because it might be entertaining for you to drive and listen to this or to exercise, but if you're not actually doing anything with it, then it may not be transforming your life, which I know it can. That's why I do the show. So thank you for being here. I hope to see you inside the challenge and enjoy today's show. Today's show, life purpose through hand analysis. So excited about today's show. We have Beth Davis. She is known as the Palm Pilot for the soul of your business and the intuitive business catalyst. Beth is the secret sage to global leaders, including celebrities, scientists, and entrepreneurs. Using her intuition, extensive shamanic experience, 15 years in business, and expertise in scientific hand analysis, she helps you discover your life purpose, reclaim your shadow, and step into the passionate leader you know you are. She has recently been asked to be on the advisory board of the Unstoppable Foundation and is committed to bringing the consciousness of life purpose to the educational system globally. Welcome to the show, Beth.
Oh, thank you. It's so good to be here.
Well, you and I have known each other through different channels for a long, long time. And I remember being introduced to you and knowing about you through your hand analysis.
Yes.
And so that intrigued me. And you were one of the very first people I thought of when I did these Freedom Friday shows. And I thought, what interests me and what do I want to learn about and share with my audience so that they can empower themselves with what gifts they've been given naturally through modalities that a lot of people aren't even aware of.
Great.
So I'd love to start with, let's talk about the hand analysis part of what you do, and how did you get started in that, and how do you use it, and how's it changed your life and others?
Great. Well, scientific hand analysis is an amalgamation of several quite innovative people in the realm of self-discovery. At the turn of the 20th century, a man named William Benham wrote an incredible book about the scientific laws of hand analysis. And then there were some subsequent scientific studies done in the 30s and 40s on the palm prints and the sole prints on the bottom of the feet. And then in the late 80s, a man named Richard Unger had a pretty significant download about the patterns in the fingerprints and how the fingerprints themselves actually reveal one's life purpose or soul's mission. Those studies now fall under the banner of scientific hand analysis in that it's verifiable, repeatable, demonstrable, teachable. It holds up with the scientific method. Children can learn it, adults can learn it. It does take 2 to 3 years for someone to comprehend the initial database, and then really a lifetime of study in the finer points, because the shape of the hand and the fingerprints and the lines in the hand create hybrids and common combos and very rare configurations in some cases that reveal character, reveal potential, reveal challenge areas. In fact, I would argue that scientific hand analysis is the most complete, accurate, and thorough personality profiling system in existence today on planet Earth. I have yet to find a system that has come close. There are a lot of assessments out there that are very valuable. Myers-Briggs is a very popular one, or the DISC assessment, and both of which I recommend. They're wonderful, and I've done them, but they're more general. And what's really special about somebody's hands, or if we are looking at a handprint, the handprint is it's a very detailed map of that person's soul, very detailed map of that person's soul, and it is accurate and it provides tremendous guidance. I would argue also that a person is more than the map in their hands, that we have free will. We can in many ways shape and transcend our destiny, and there are aspects of us that are really part of our design, JJ. So what I'm trying to do is support people in fulfilling their design before they try to even transcend it. There's this real power that comes from understanding how we're put together. And I sometimes get pushback from people when I say to them, I say, this is my design and this is how I do things. And they say, oh, well, that's great, but how do you know? And I'm like, well, I've done a lot of trial and error. And I know what happens when I go against my blueprint and when I try to force things, when I don't honor the map. And I notice that when I do follow the instructions in the map, I very often get to where I want to go in a way that feels joyful, successful, and pleasurable. I think the greatest reward of understanding your blueprint is that you can discover that suffering is optional. It's really optional. We create our own suffering through ignorance, through stubbornness, through the unwillingness to receive feedback, through our inability to understand who we are. In understanding our blueprint, it's the foundation for self-love and self-appreciation. And as far as I'm concerned, only from that place can we truly have a fulfilling life. Otherwise, our interactions with other people are fraught with hidden agendas, with aggression, with passive aggressive behavior. Our attempts at being successful creatively are often blocked. Many of the issues in our life come from a lack of self-understanding and a lack of self-love and real self-appreciation. When you know your blueprint, it's right there in your physical body. You can literally look in the palms of your hands. It gives people a level of freedom of choice, of permission to act on that freedom of choice, and clarity about their next steps, unlike anything I have ever seen. And my mission in my lifetime is to bring this information globally. I've been at it 17 years. I am actually starting to gain traction because I'm understanding my own blueprint with every passing moment, more and more and more. And I have very complicated blueprints. So I'm looking at my handprint. It's my screensaver. I just finally put it up right in front of me last week. I said, I'm just going to put my own handprint. I'm just going to start with my right hand, and I put it up on my computer screen so I could just look at my blueprint. So every day I look at that blueprint, and it is guiding my ship. It's guiding my ship. So that's the essence of it. And I got into it really because I was very bored in my work in my late 20s, and a friend suggested it to me. And after a lot of hemming and hawing and resisting her, I finally submitted and had my hands read. And it quite literally was an answer to a prayer, because I had been terribly depressed. I mean, almost to the point where I probably needed to be hospitalized. I was so down, and I could not understand people working in jobs they didn't like to make money. And I mean, I never understood that. I don't understand most of the things people do. Like, I don't understand people staying in relationships that don't work. I don't understand people staying in jobs that don't work. Like, I don't have the patience. But I was really miserable, and I had my hands read, and it blew my mind. And so I set out to learn it as a hobby, and then it became a full-blown passion.
So I'm guessing that part of what was in your reading was to be on a mission to change the world, maybe?
Mm-hmm.
Can I ask what your astrological sign is?
Yeah, I'm a Leo.
I think I remember saying happy birthday to you year after year in
Yes.
the July to August timeframe and going, yes, that makes sense. Of course you're a Leo. Okay. So you started it because you were bored and then you started to turn it into a business, I
Yes.
remember. But did you, that happen right away or did you have to, how did you react to the information in your
Well,
hands?
here's what's crazy. It had never crossed my mind at all to start my own business. Like some people get that idea, like I ought to start my own business, and it just had not crossed my mind. However, I had my hands read, and it turns out it was in my hands in two places. That part of my life's purpose is to own my own business. While I was learning how to read hands, I actually started uh, I had actually, let me no, that is not true. I actually did have the idea to start my own business. I still have the business card. It was a beautiful brown paper business card with sort of maroon ink, and it had a spider web on it. And it was called Dreamcatcher Consulting. And I had precisely one client, and I coached him, and he was very happy with the coaching. And I got scared because I didn't know what to do next. And I was maybe 26, 27, and I put it away, and I had other odd jobs, and I don't remember the whole sequence. So I think that was like the first attempt. And then when I had my hands read and it was confirmed, oh, you're supposed to own your own business, I thought, oh, I really ought to take this seriously. So I started a business consulting for artists. And then I had some other revenue promoting another hand analyst. I'm very good at networking and I'm an extrovert. So I'm good at networking. I know tons of people. I was able to bring her at least 100 clients in the short time we worked together. So during that time of learning hands, it began to sink in, oh, I need to have my own business. So then I went to a family member. I got a loan and I bought a computer and I set up my office and I hired a bookkeeper right away. That was my first person I got, like within a week. And I haven't done books since. I haven't done books in 20 years. I've not done my books. I mean, I wouldn't even know how anymore. I have it so systematized. Like people are like, oh, it's time to pay taxes. And I just sign something. Like it comes in the mail and I sign it and I just mail it. I wish that for everyone, right? So I thought maybe I'm good at this business thing because I'm good at simplifying things and putting systems in place. So as I got more proficient reading hands, I was doing it for fun and doing it at charity events and giving readings to family members. And that's when I decided I would start charging for readings. And right out of the gate, 1998, someone said, "How much is a session?" I said, $100. And they were like, "Okay." And before I knew it, I was making about 8 grand a month just doing readings. And I just started raising my rates. And then I don't know, maybe 2001, I started teaching classes, teaching people how to read hands. And then I hired a coach. And I asked her at some point, I said, "Can I use all of your materials and start coaching people? Could I just like reformat these documents?" And she said, "Sure, go ahead." I said, "Great." So I would do a reading for someone. And then if I liked the client, I would never bring it up if I didn't want to talk to the person again, because every now and then people would come along. I was like, "Oh, glad this reading's done." Um, but there'd be clients, most of them were wonderful. And I would just say, "By the way, you may or may not know this. I own a full-time mentoring business. Would you be interested in discussing coaching?" And they said, "Yeah." So I'd either talk to them right there or I'd schedule a strategy session. And I'd learn how to do strategy sessions from Robert Middleton. A friend had called me up in 2001 and said, "Hey, this is how you do a strategy session." And she sent me like a 10 bulleted list of things to do on the call. And I did it. And I helped people make a decision. They'd tell me yes or no. And most of them said yes. And then I'd offer them a coaching package and they signed up. So within about 6 months, I had a full coaching business. But I was still only making about $60,000 a year. And I was working so hard. It just wasn't acceptable. So then the mid 2000s, I mean, I built my own website way back in the late 90s. I have very good Google search because I've had a website so long. I even did a little bit of HTML code, but I don't anymore. So,
Wow.
yeah. So I put my own opt-in box in my own website when I learned how to do that. I found Allie Brown, who was a protege of Dan Kennedy, and she really took all of that wonderful direct response marketing knowledge and really translated it for the woman business owner. So I found her in 2005 and went to one of her very first workshop, the Online Success Blueprint workshop. And I went to her workshop and I did everything she told me to do. And then that year, I made $125,000. And then the next year I brought in 350. I'm talking gross, which is different than the net. But I was still doing about 20, 30% profit. So I brought in 125,000, then 350,000, then 650,000, then 800,000, then 1.2 million. And then I sort of hovered around 800, 900,000 a year gross. And unfortunately, I got divorced. I got cancer, which was all part of my life lesson. There's which is in the hands. There's no doubt about it. I wasn't listening to my inner guidance, and so you pay the piper when you don't listen to your inner guidance. It even happens to the person who teaches it. Um, and I
Hmm.
cut my work in half, so I was grossing about 500,000 a year. And I've stayed steady there. And I tell people this in my presentations, like how much money I made and how much I'm making now. I want to represent it honestly. But my profit margin has actually gone up. And now that I'm well again, I'm healthy, and I've worked through a lot of the emotional turmoil of those situations and feel, solid again. My business is growing again, and I'm doing it in a different way in terms of really honoring my blueprint, which is that I'm highly sensitive. I don't deal well with stress. I don't deal well with any kind of negativity or negative people. Like I just can't have any of that in my life. So I have really I've removed everything from my life I don't like: books, clothing, people, experiences. Anything negative or stressful is gone. And I'm healthy. What a shocker, right? Not really. Not really. So, anyway, so that's been my journey. And as I started making more and more money, I was like, oh, maybe I'm good at this business thing because I don't have those issues about charge what you're worth or, like I never understood that conversation. I'm like, what is but I do now from reading hands because many, many people have a self-worth issue. And that is not my issue in life. I have a lot of confidence and I totally believe in my value and it's worth lots of money. And I know if someone invests with me, they're going to have massive transformation. And at the end, they're going to say thank you. I mean, I have people cry when they sign up for a $22,000 program. They're crying as they're paying me saying thank you. I am committed to this and I know it's going to change my life, and it does. So I stand by that and I always have. Even when I started charging $100, I was like, this hand analysis stuff is the secret sauce. It's the best thing I have ever found to give you clarity in your life. And I back it up 100%. Like it's 100% accurate. It's spot on. Have at it. If you're not happy, I'll refund your money. Well, that almost never happens. Like my refund rate is practically non-existent. And I don't think many businesses can claim that. So part of it was the happy synchronicity of finding something that saved my life. It really did save my life. Learning it as a hobby and then bringing it to other people. And that's really what I wish for all of my clients, is that they line up with their gifts and their path and they fulfill that in the world, because there's nothing more soul satisfying than being on purpose. Nothing.
Right.
Right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's a conversation that a lot of women don't have because they think they have to be in business or they have to have some very special, unique talent that nobody else has in order for them to have a role to fulfill in terms of being on purpose. And I would argue that I think a lot of women, especially now in today's day and age, who are in their late 40s, 50s, and 60s, who were mothers or worked for somebody else, and now the kids are out of the house or they've gotten divorced and remarried, and they're besides menopause and the obvious hormone conversation and potentially food conversation, there's also the, well, now what? And I think that there's a gaping hole for a lot of women more than men, because I think men know that they need to have a purpose instinctually,
Yes, they
and
do. Yes, they do.
women don't, because they're the nurturers, they're the caregivers, they're the caretakers. Well, what happens when you're done caregiving and caretaking? and
Right.
there's that, then now what? And that's where the self-worth issue comes in, because it's like, my job as a mom to take care of you, and my job as a wife to take care of you, and my
Uh-huh.
job as a mom, as a daughter, is to care for you as you age. And if there's nobody to caretake, now what? And I
Right.
think that's really a big conversation for why there's a lot of depression and a lot of back pain, unexpressed anger and resentment and frustration in a lot of women between, I'm going to say, age 50 and 65. So anyway, that's my 2 cents on that. So I want to know, for the people that are listening, they're obviously, I'm sure that you're going to give us a way to work with you or have their hands analyzed. But I want to, after we come back from thanking our sponsors, I do want you to address if there's anything anyone can do on their own. So just different things that you might have learned along the way that may not be the hand analysis part, but maybe it goes along hand in hand. Maybe it's something about intuition or about being conscious or present in your body or
Sure.
about recognizing certain key things that we all could do together.
You bet.
Okay, so we'll be right back. Are you consciously using the law of attraction in your everyday life? How would you like some accountability and structure provided for you so you can easily start attracting more good into your life? Join us for the next 30-day manifestation challenge. Go to fittolove.tv/30daym. That's FIT, the number 2, LOVE.tv/30DAYM. 30-day M. Well, you'll be provided completely for free a 30-day packet including audios, instructions, and accountability in the form of a private Facebook group where we share our manifestations with each other every day and we keep each other accountable for doing the work. Join us for the next 30-day manifestation challenge. Come on over to fittolove.tv/30daym. Okay, Beth, so how can I start to analyze my own self or use some of the things that I know I can get from working with you right now to make a difference?
Well, you'd mentioned intuition, and you also shared some examples of what women in midlife are going through. The majority of my clients are women in midlife who are asking, what's next? Um, and I do think that one of the major shifts for us as women is self first. You've got to put yourself first. You absolutely must put yourself first. Your health, your well being is primary. And now for me, it's not negotiable. So myself always comes first. And if myself can't be honored in a commitment, I'm not doing it. Like it's just not going to happen. It's a no. So it's if it's not a resounding happy yes for me, then it's not going to benefit other people. So that's the first thing is to figure out if it's a yes or no. And that's an internal process. And most people have an internal body based way of making decisions. So the thing I would encourage people to do is stop relying on the mind. The mind is a terrible decision maker. Terrible decision maker. It's not designed for making decisions. In fact, it is your body that makes the decision. People that make good decisions in their life trust their instincts. They trust their gut feelings, they trust their emotions, they trust that instant or response to things. They trust that and they live from that trust. It can sometimes create pushback, right? When the people around you are like, oh, because they're not getting their way. Like I just had to end a contract discussion last week, just to give you a quick example. And I was entering into this business deal. I hadn't signed anything yet. And it was a yes for a while. And then it just went to a total no. And I kept digging deeper and looking at the whole situation objectively. And I thought, this is just has disaster written all over it. Like, this is a no. I went to the person, I had a third person sit there. So here's another tip. When you have to have a difficult conversation that you don't think you can handle on your own, now most of the time I'm fine. I have no problem with it. I don't even mind the person's reaction if they get upset or they don't like what I'm saying. But sometimes I know I'm entering into murky territory and I don't want to become blaming. I don't want to get defensive. I want to stay with my heart open. I really want to speak from my truth. I want to be a spiritually conscious adult in everything I do. And often when we're under stress and we're not listening to our bodies, we make decisions from our teenager, from our wounded inner child, right? We make a choice from not the best place. So I had someone sit in on the conversation and we got through the whole conversation in 20 minutes. And of course, the other party was very disappointed and upset and And I was so clear I was making the right decision. And then I later found out subsequent information that just absolutely confirmed I'd done the right thing. Like beyond a shadow of a doubt confirmed it. And some of it came from this person's own mouth. Like he told me some stuff and I was like, and when were you going to tell me that piece of information? Oh, I see. After I signed the contract. Well, thanks for letting me know now. Guilty conscience is always a positive thing. So anyway, so I'd say to every woman listening, you've got to trust your gut. And if it means get out of that marriage, get the hell out. If it means stop eating sugar, for God's sakes, get a buddy and stop eating that shit. Like that's the thing. Like I think we don't We know what we're supposed to do. Like I don't eat sugar anymore. I don't drink alcohol. This is here, I'll bottom line it for you. This is my best tip of all. This is like me simplifying life for myself. So, does this choice expand my channel of divine light and prosperity and joy? Or does this choice contract it? Whether it's something I'm about to put in my mouth, words that are about to come out of my mouth, um, clothing I might put on my body, a person I might choose to do business with, a client I may or may not take on. Does it expand my channel or does it contract it? So when I was late today, I was really tired. So before this interview, I canceled some things and took a nap. Because when I leaned into the energy of this interview, JJ, I was like, this is a good thing I'm doing with you today. It expands my channel. And these other things, they're fine, but they can wait. I need to rest because that's what my body's needing. And then I can show up to this call with you in my expanded, energized place, right? My voice is energized. I'm sitting upright in my chair. I've got my protein shake and my filtered water nearby, and there's a candle burning. And I'm like, I'm here. So those are the things I would suggest is listen to your inner guidance, trust it and violate it at your peril because all of our suffering is optional and every bit of suffering comes from not listening to that inner voice. Deal with the consequences and get support. Ask for help. Have a third party sit in on difficult conversations, someone you know is objective and won't take sides. Ask for help. Like I work out now in the mornings. Most weekdays I get up at 5:30 a.m. I'm not even a morning person. I've had to change my whole schedule with a friend who's a fitness trainer, and I'm helping her with some stuff, and she's helping me with my fitness. And we've been doing this power yoga. I don't even know how to describe it, but let's just say it's difficult and it's reshaping my body, and I would never do it on my own. Let me just say that. And I looked in the mirror one day because I'd been a competitive athlete for so many years. And I'd always been fit. Like I just always been in shape. Never had a weight problem. Just, I grew up not a lot, we didn't eat sugar in my house. My mom made us eat organic even in the 70s and had to go, like she was a nutritionist. So I knew the deal about food early on. Like you got to eat 3 meals a day and you need a snack and you should never go hungry. And like I learned all that stuff. So I've never been on weird diets. I don't skip meals. How can you eat so much? I'm like, well, I didn't screw up my metabolism going on diets. So I can actually eat food. So I looked in the mirror and I went, wait a minute, what? Why is this not working? The fitness thing, but other parts of my life work. And I went, oh, well, in business, I have a couple business coaches and I go to a bunch of group calls and I go to live meetings. I don't in any way try to do my business on my own. And I have a team of people. I have like 6 people that work for me. They help run the business. So like I just do my part in the business. I don't do all the other stuff. I just go on vacation and it's all handled because I've got this team. So what makes me think that I'm going to get in shape when I've never like I haven't been disciplined enough to do it up until I hired my friend. So now she shows up, picks me up at 6 in the morning, and we drive around the corner to the brand new gym, 2 blocks from me, and we park and we go into the yoga room and there's no one there at 6 a.m. And we just bust it out for an hour and then we go have coffee. And it's changed my entire life. Like in the past 3 months, people are like, I don't know what you're doing, but I want some of that. Like you look like you're 39 years old and I'm 47. And people go, you're 47? And I'm like, it's the yoga and it's getting enough sleep. And it's all about self first. So self first, listen to your gut, only make choices that expand your channel. And if you can't get the change you're seeking, I would bet 95% of the time it's because you need to get support. And if you have to pay for that support, by all means do it. But don't try and do it alone because you won't get traction. You just won't get traction.
I was just interviewed on a podcast with a woman who's in Chicago, and she asked me some of the same tips and tricks for someone that doesn't have a lot of time, and I kind of gave them the same spiel you did. I said, well, maybe time to pay for it, maybe time to get some support if this is the kind of goal you've been having and the kinds of excuses that have been going on for a long time. And if that's not part of it, then get a buddy, get accountability, get support. So
Yeah. And the whole not having time thing, that's BS too. And it's all from not asking for help. Like I'll ask these women who are like, I have no time. And so I have them track their activities for a week. And then I come back to them and I'm like, why are you doing this, and this? What are you really hiding from? Oh, you're hiding from having to tell someone no. You're hiding from having to have a confrontational conversation and set a boundary. And instead, you're giving up your entire life to shuttle these kids from sport game to sport. I mean, so much BS. I can't even believe the stuff women do. I would never do it. I already raised my kids. They're grown. I was never like that. I was like, you kids need to figure that out. And if I didn't know how to do it, I'd get help. Like I wasn't going to shuttle them around all day. I have like bigger fish to fry. Like they don't need me to be their chauffeur, just stupid stuff. I mean, like stupid, simple stuff. So I see mostly women keep themselves busy, back to your point, because they don't know what else to do. They just want to be needed. Like their role is, I am valuable because I do. And I do and I do and I do. But doing is masculine. It's not feminine. Nurturing is masculine. It's not feminine. And women have been trained over the past several thousand years to actually go against their biology and play a male role because of the patriarchy. But now that the patriarchy is disintegrating worldwide and we're becoming more equitable as a species, which I think is our true nature anyways, we just got off track there for a bit. As we're becoming more equitable, women are like, whoa, wait a minute. Whoa, I'm not really, when I nurture all the time, my hormones go out of whack and I can't seem to lose this weight. And I have cancer, or I have, thyroid problem, or I have this, fat around my middle I can't lose because of all the cortisol I'm releasing from trying to be superwoman. And that's the shift, is like, no, we're designed to receive. So what would more receiving do? And the more I receive, the more my business grows, the more help I get, the more my business grows, the more I just chill, like today. Like I just went laid down for 3 hours. I just laid there. I slept, I meditated. Then I got up for this call and got ready. It's like, no, I'm just not, nothing's that important.
Yep. Oh, yeah. I took a nap last week. I thought, oh, I have this, and this to do, but my body's like, you need a nap. And so I laid down and I cuddled with the
Right.
cat, and I was like, this is delicious, and I'm not moving. And of course, yeah. But it is that listening to your body. So now someone's listening to this and they're like, okay, I understand all that and I can do that, but I'm still really interested in knowing what my purpose is now because you told me that it's in my hands. So how can I get that done? How can I learn more about that?
Great. So, we didn't really actually get into the gifts. So I just want to say something about the hands, and then give people a resource. So there's a number of different aspects to scientific hand analysis, but one of the most beneficial, especially for someone starting out, is the gift markings. Now, there happen to be up to 18 possible gift markings. The general public at large has none to just a few. And the people you and I work with, especially these women in midlife who are actually asking what next, tend to be highly gifted, which is why they're asking the question. I've never met a person with all 18 gift markings, but I have met a few people with 15 gift markings. And the gift markings could include leadership, being in the spotlight, being an author speaker, being a gifted leader and problem solver, being a money master, being a gifted seer or intuitive or psychic. Those are just some of the gifts. And if you don't use the gifts, you go into the penalty zone, which just create, again, suffering. We tend to be unconscious of how we're creating our suffering, but once we know the blueprint, we know, oh, the suffering's optional. Like if you have the money gift, the Midas touch in your hands, where things you touch turn to gold, and you're not paying yourself, or you're undercharging, et cetera, right? You're going to be going into the struggle around money penalty. So it's really, really a powerful way to get people started. So if anyone's interested, they can go to yourpurpose.com, and it's a landing page. And if someone goes to yourpurpose.com, when you opt in, there are 3 interactive tutorials that talk about the fingerprint data. And if someone's interested in my gift markings course, it's normally $1,000, and I have it available as a special for your people. It's $97. They just need to email us at support@yourpurpose.com, and we'll give you access to the information page about the program. And then if you decide you still want it, it's $97, and it's a digital program. Now, it is non-refundable because it's digital and someone can copy it, share it. And I invite you, yes, use it with your family and your team and find out your gifts, because it's a self-study course. And the gifts are very easy to, for the most part, easy to identify. There are markings in the hand that really jump out. So that's what I would encourage people to do. Go to yourpurpose.com and take the free tutorials. And then if you're interested in finding out more about the gifts, I haven't set up a landing page for you, JJ, but I do have a special page devoted to that program if someone's interested and they want to take it further. So
Okay. Well, I'll make sure to put all those notes underneath
great.
your bio in your show notes on fittolove.tv. So if those of you that are listening that are exercising or driving to work, you can come and get those links for the free tutorials and then the email address also to get the special, which is an amazing special from $1,000 down to $97. So come over to the site and check that out. Okay, now this needs to be maybe a video next time, Beth. We can in the future do a little video and do some more hand analysis, just to maybe a couple of them to show what the hands, maybe there's the shape of the hand and some of the different. Because while I want people to understand and know this is out there for them to utilize to enhance their life, it's obviously we're talking about something visual, so it's always really fun to do. But do you have videos? Don't you?
Yes, I do. I have a YouTube channel, so if they check out Beth Davis, there's lots and lots of videos, and some of them have over 500 600 views, which is great. Means people are starting to check it out. There's some great videos. They're all tutorial based. So
okay, well, I'll link everybody to that as well. So if you want to see Beth and some of the tutorials of hand analysis, check that out so that we can all discover the gift markings in our hands. Beth, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you again for tuning in to Spirit, Purpose, and Energy. If you're inspired and want more, come on over to fittolove.tv and check out our Freedom Fridays or find us on iTunes. More at Fit to Love, physical, emotional, and spiritual fitness for the happy life you deserve.